Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel where we love to talk about movies. Welcome especially if you're new. It's been a little while since I've been able to post a video, but figured I would just give an update with kind of the movies that I saw over the summer. So summer wrapped up technically last month. We transitioned from summer to autumn on the 21st of September. So I figured I'd, look back. It's been kind of pretty much the duration of the summer since I last posted something. I think it was about the middle of May, so it's technically still a little bit of the springtime there. But we're just gonna kind of do a roundup, give my quick thoughts on the number of movies. I don't have the total here, but I'll give my suggestions, and we'll just get to talk about movies. It'll probably still be a little while before I post my next video. I'm back in grad school while still working full time, so it's just a bit more busy these days. But I'm hoping, especially come the end of the year, I'll be able to do some year-end stuff in particular. And who knows, I might come across a week where I have a bit more time and there's a movie that I particularly want to talk about. So definitely hit that subscribe if you kind of like this sort of content. But with that, let's get into the movies that I've seen since the last review, which I think my last review was Fast X or Fast 10. That was not not the best last movie to have done a review for, but with that, next up after that one, this again is going back to May. There was Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. I absolutely loved this film. I thought it was so well done and really captured, even though I can't know firsthand if it captured very well the experience of the main character as like a girl growing up and going through everything that she's going through at that point in her life. It really felt as like, again, as somebody who can't directly relate, it felt like they captured that really well. And I feel like I have a better understanding, and I think that's part of the magic of movies is it's a way to capture experiences and share those with other people, so that way if you don't have that firsthand experience, you can maybe get a little bit of a glimpse of what that would be like. And so I thought that was really magical, and overall I thought it was a great movie. Highly recommended. That one's a letter grade of an A for me. After that, I saw The Little Mermaid. This one was just okay. I didn't grow up too much on the original film. I think I've seen it maybe once or twice. I do like the original animated one better. This one was, again, it was just okay. It didn't seem like it did anything terribly inventive. I think it was, done well enough, but like the new music that they added, I really didn't care for. I think there was one song in particular that for me it was like nails on the chalkboard, and with the musical, that definitely lowers it quite a bit in my book. And I don't know. I think just the whole overall story doesn't really sit well with me that much, where you've got one person trying to make another person fall in love with them. It just feels a little manipulative, I guess, in my book, and it's just a little hard, I guess, to really enjoy the story. So the that's so that one was just okay. After that, I saw About My Father. This was just a fun movie. I gave it a B. It wasn't like go out of your way to see, but if you want something just kind of relaxing and fun, I thought it was an enjoyable enough time. It's if you aren't familiar with that one, it's just about a guy bringing his dad to meet his, I think, fiance's family for the like 4th of July holiday. And it's fun enough. Probably catch it on streaming if you're looking for something to watch. Then next up, I saw Starling Girl. This was a, I would say, just a maybe heavy movie. I think that's probably the right word. It really captured, I thought it captured very well sort of a tight, like what it's like to be a part of a very tight knit like religious community that is fairly or very conservative and like pretty reserved and strict when it comes to things. And it reminded me a lot of sort of the environment that I grew up in. It was, I think it was I forget which religion they captured specifically in the movie, but for that reason, it certainly isn't an enjoyable watch, but I think it's a really good movie. I gave it a letter grade of an A just for how yeah, how good of a job it does in capturing the, characters and the situations that they're in, but definitely not like a feel good movie. It's it's fairly, yeah, it's, I don't know that I quite cried with it, but it was definitely just kind of depressing and hard to sit through just because of the subject matter, not because it was a poorly made movie. But I highly recommend it, though. I thought it was really good. After that, I saw the Boogeyman. That was a pretty good horror film. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of horror, but I liked kind of the look of the film, and I thought the kids did a really good job. So they did a great job casting, and overall, yeah, I think it's one of the better horror films that I've seen for the year. So I actually gave that one a B. I think it's worth checking out. Usually I think it's still pretty hard to get a B in my book for horror just because I generally don't like the genre as much. But yeah, I thought that one was good. You Hurt My Feelings. That's just a drama. The I enjoyed it. I thought it did some things really well, but it didn't like fully come together. I thought I might be, as I was going through, I thought, well, maybe this would be an A, but it was a B. It's a solid watch. Just kind of makes you think about things and how you treat people and view people, especially the relationship between kids and their parents and that sort of a thing. So yeah, that one I thought was worth checking out, but not go out of your way to see it. And then next up we have what I think is currently it's my favorite film of the year, and that's Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I absolutely love this film. I went to go see it with a friend. I think we saw it in Dolby. I believe it was opening night, but I absolutely loved it. The animation, the characters, the music, just it's firing on all cylinders. I don't know that there's anything I can criticize about the film. I think it's the longest animated film ever. It's like 2 hours and 20 some minutes, I think. And I loved every minute of it. I cannot wait till the third one comes out, which I think has now been indefinitely delayed, but it's okay. We can wait. If it's going to be something that good, I will wait as long as it takes. So that one, yeah, it's one of my favorite movies. I absolutely love it. It was better than the first one. It really is so good. I actually saw it, I think, a few weeks later with a couple other friends. We went to go see it in IMAX, and yeah, it was just fun seeing it with kind of it's a fun movie to go see with people. I think my one friend I went to see it with the second time, or one of the two friends, he hadn't seen the first one, but he said he was still, yeah, quite enjoyed it and was able to follow well enough along, which was nice because I was a little worried once I heard that he hadn't seen the first one. But yeah, he really liked it. I think he liked a lot of the ideas that it explored and that sort of a thing. So that was nice. After that, Elemental came out. That was a solid movie. It was a B in my book. It seems to explore similar themes to like Zootopia, and so it's maybe a little hard to separate them, but I really liked kind of the animation, and I really like the music. I've listened to it a lot since it came out, and that really elevates my love for a film. But yeah, I think it's a solid film. It's a B. I think it's worth checking out, but don't go out of your way to see it maybe. But if you got Disney Plus, I think it's on there now. I do think it's worth the watch there. And then The Flash came out. I had heard really good things going into it, and so I was really excited. I do like superhero films. I've seen a lot of the Flash TV show on the CW. But this film, it was fun. It was good, but it wasn't great. I think the my biggest nitpick with the film is the music. The like yeah, props. I am not a soundtrack composer. What they do is significantly. It's so difficult and just magical when they do create great music. But I did not care for the soundtrack for this one bit. It felt like nails on a chalkboard most of the time through, and so that really took me out of the film and dropped kind of my opinion of it. But that on top of I don't know. I've never loved Zod as a villain, so getting him as the main villain was yeah, it was okay. But I mean, I did really like some parts of it. So it really shone or shown in a few places. It definitely has some really good character moments, but then there's some other things that are just a little hard to sit through. So overall, it was a B. I didn't think it was the greatest thing ever. Like I think I'd heard some people saying they absolutely loved it, but I think overall, my understanding now is it kind of got mixed reviews, and that doesn't surprise me given that I'm kind of in the middle of the road on it. Then we had The Blackening. That was a fun horror film. Nothing like too special in my opinion, but yeah, it's nice to see the it was just kind of a fun, not taking itself too seriously sort of film. So that one I gave a B as well. No Hard Feelings. This is Jennifer Lawrence sort of rom com. This one was just okay. It's fun enough, but I didn't really enjoy it enough to the level where I'd give it a B. It wasn't a bad movie, but I don't know. It just didn't really. I don't know. I just didn't care much for it, or like either the characters or the story. It did feel original, like I haven't seen another film like it, but overall it didn't really appeal to me all that much. And then same with Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken. That's a new DreamWorks film. It felt very much like Turning Red, and which I didn't care too much for either. I feel like I don't know. It's hard because it's not just like the subject matter. Because I think it's trying to cover similar stuff as something like "Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret." It's about a girl and probably about middle school just dealing with things like what it's like. And this one was just very I felt predictable and I don't know, not all that appealing. So I think it's like I do really like that films like this are being made. I think it's great to over if you're looking at the pool of movies that are out there to have a diverse group of like main characters and different types of stories to tell. So it's just unfortunate when you do get that and they're not all that appealing. But I think it's probably a good enough kids film. It just didn't do enough to appeal to me as an adult. Past Lives, that was a really good movie. I gave that one an A. It just again, those like A's are usually the movies that it's very easy to get an A if you show me a new perspective and you've got good characters and a good story. And this had all of that, and it made you kind of think about life. And yeah, it's definitely worth checking out if you can catch it on streaming at this point. I highly recommend it. That's a really good movie. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. This was fun enough. I gave it a B. I think I enjoyed it enough, but it still isn't like it's not as good. I think as the first or the third one in the series. I think it's in the middle of the pack for me, coming in at number 3. I I didn't really care a whole lot for his the new character, like his goddaughter. I thought that she was fairly unlikable, and I don't know. I maybe that's just me, but I think having it's hard to kind of root for her, especially when she's maybe kind of acting against Indy and that sort of a thing. But on top of that, I don't know. I think she yeah, she doesn't have quite that Indiana Jones likability, and there again, it's kind of like I love seeing the diversity. I love that they brought in a woman as the sort of main character opposite of Indy, and so it's just unfortunate when I think they dropped the ball slightly on actually writing that character, and yeah, I don't know. It's that part of it was a little hard to watch. I'm still surprised that it's like as expensive a movie as it was for like yeah I'm sure it lost money in the end, unfortunately, because it was good. I just think they suffered a bit from having to film during the pandemic to start and stop. But I think the most disturbing thing was hearing a normal or a current day Harrison Ford voice coming out of a de-aged Harrison Ford in like the first scene of the film, because they kind of do a flashback. And Yeah, I'm like, you couldn't have like de-aged the voice and come up with de-aging technology on voices like you do with appearance. I feel like that would be easier. But no, they didn't. Then that was kind of just weird to watch. But it's a fun adventure film. I'll be surprised if they make another one. But we'll see. You never know. Yeah, after that I saw Joyride. That was a fun film. I think I gave it a B. I don't remember a ton about it specifically to talk to, but it was fun. There again, it's nice to see, looking at across all the movies, this is, the focusing on not only on Caucasian men as your main characters. This very much does not, and so it's nice when they do that, and the film is good, which I thought it was. So this one was just fun. It also has heart to it though, and it has a good story and kind of comes together in the end. So I think that's a good mix of the two. And then we have Dead Reckoning, or Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I absolutely love this film. It didn't quite surpass Fallout. I don't know that anything will surpass Mission Impossible Fallout, but I thought it was still an S, and it's one of my favorite films. I saw it twice in theaters, once in Dolby and once in IMAX. They didn't actually include any IMAX Dimension frames in the IMAX release, which is a little disappointing. So yeah, that was definitely better in Dolby given that. But yeah, I think this is I think is probably my second favorite film of the year. And yeah, I'm a little upset that they didn't like adjust their release schedule to not have it come out a week before Barbie and Oppenheimer, because those ended up being just such a huge juggernaut. But I absolutely love the film. I think the story is really well done. It doesn't feel as long of a film as it is. I think it's almost 3 hours, but I loved every minute of it. And yeah, it's just not quite on the level of Fallout. And I don't know exactly what that. I think Fallout is maybe just a little bit better edited, and the villain. That's what it was. Yeah, the villain in Dead Reckoning Part 1 is good but not great in my opinion. So that is kind of what keeps it from being the best in the series. But I still really loved it. So yeah, that one I liked quite a bit. After that, I saw The Lesson. That was a pretty forgettable film. It seemed like it would be something that was interesting, but I didn't care too much about it. It's just kind of about a tutor who goes to tutor a son of a writer, and I don't know. It was just okay. Kind of a depressing film actually, but Sound of Freedom. This one has had I don't know. I don't want to talk too much on this film. I feel like it has so much wrapped up in it with a lot of. It's been politicized, I think, quite a bit. I think taking it just straight up as a movie and not really looking at anything else surrounding it, I thought it was a B. So just, yeah, looking at it as a movie, not how it connects to the world or anything else. I thought the characters were interesting enough. It didn't have too much diversity though. It's about a bunch of white men doing stuff. That was like, I get it's supposed to be based off a true story, but you can take liberties on gender and race when it comes to that. Like Hamilton, for example, that like yeah. So that was one thing I knocked it for, but I liked the music, and I think for the story that it told, whether that's completely true or not, I don't really care. But within the context of the movie and just taking it for what it was, I thought it was interesting to watch and an engaging movie. So not something you got to go out of your way to see, but not like a terrible movie either. So yeah. And then I saw Barbie after that, kind of talking about politicizing movies. That was interesting that those came out kind of around the same time, because you get different ends. Anyway, ends of the spectrum focusing on different things. But we're not going to get into that. I absolutely loved Barbie. That is a solid A for me, probably top of the A tier. Didn't quite get into the S tier, but maybe it will on rewatch. I've only seen it once, but I loved the soundtrack. I love the characters. I felt like it was a really balanced movie as far as having a very good message. and just a good feminist message while not putting down the male characters. I thought they explored all the characters quite well, and I think a movie that can do that is done really well. Like I think it's a challenge to show strong female characters and explore them in great detail while not just putting the male characters off to the side. So I thought it had a lot of fun with the things that it was, the concepts it was going into. I thought it explored them very well, told its message in just an entertaining way, but also had a really good message to it. So, and I think that's really the main thing is that my main takeaway for its message is that we just, regardless of being a man or a woman or whomever you are, the like we don't define ourselves by others. It's important to get your own identity, and you kind of you look inwards for that, and you don't wrap that up in a dependency on anybody else. And I think that's really important, regardless of who you are. So yeah, I loved that message of the film. And then I did a double feature, Barbie and Oppenheimer, same day. It was in two different theaters, but I went to Barbie in Dolby at like 4 o'clock, and then I caught a 9 o'clock showing of Oppenheimer. It was opening night. Both theaters were packed. It was great. Yeah, we'll see if we ever get anything like that for an experience. But I did do Barbenheimer properly. I got them both in one day. Not to say that, I think some people got them in over the weekend, and I think that still counts. Barbenheimer is still a thing, but I'm really glad I could get them in one day and get that experience. So Oppenheimer was good. I ended up seeing it twice. I saw it opening night in IMAX, and then I saw it like a week later on 70 millimeter film. Not IMAX, but just regular 70 millimeter, which is kind of cool because, you don't get access to 70 millimeter films all that often anymore. I like the IMAX showing better as far as from like I like the look of the IMAX better, but I think I actually enjoyed it more the second time around. I think coming out of it the first time, I was like, yeah, that was like a B. It was good, but I don't think it's great or anything. Probably my like least favorite, maybe second least favorite Nolan film, and probably behind like Dunkirk. I think that's at the bottom of my list of the ones that I've seen. I've seen most of them, but probably not all of them. But the second time through, I think I understood a bit more of what was going on. Like I didn't really understand the hearing that Robert Downey Jr.'s character was in the first time around, so it was just kind of confusing why it kept jumping back to that and like what the whole point of it was. But that clicked, and then yeah, I don't know. I do think this is an A for a film as well. I didn't like it as much as Barbie. I think Barbie's the better film. Technically speaking, I think Oppenheimer is really, really well done. Those are the things that it knocks out of the park as far as the visuals, the soundtrack. Absolutely love it. That's Ludwig Göransson. I think that's how you say his name. But yeah, he did an awesome job. And I think my one gripe is like, yes, I get that. I don't know. I could kind of go either way. I'm curious if they considered maybe changing the race or gender of any of the characters, because again, it's about a bunch of white men, and I get that is what the characters were, or like the people were in real life, but that doesn't mean that when you're making a movie it has to be that way. Again, take Hamilton. They exemplify that doesn't have to be the case. Now, if you're trying to make a documentary, okay, but this is still cinema. It's not a documentary. I did think that the women in the film were not the strongest like written characters, so that was kind of another thing that I kind of docked the film for. But overall, I think I think it's an interesting film. I think it's very Nolan-esque for how it kind of weaves different timelines together, and you kind of jump around. And it makes it good to go back to, because again, like even as I experienced with this film, seeing it a second time, you just pick up on more stuff. That can maybe be a little frustrating. Like you don't want to have to see a film multiple times, but I don't know. It does make it rewarding when you are going to go see it more than once. So I do recommend it though. I think it's a really good film. Probably not in my top 10 for the year, but still worth checking out, absolutely. And then Haunted Mansion, that came out a few weeks later, I think. That was just okay. I think the visuals were pretty good, but I don't know. I think it had a couple good things going for it. Like the some of the emotional beats that it hit were pretty good, but everything else that kind of surrounded it was just okay. So that one was a C. I don't really recommend it all that much. Talk to Me, that's another horror film. I think this one's kind of between a C and a B. I think I landed in the B because it's I thought the characters were interesting and sort of the stuff it has you think about is interesting, but it's a pretty scary film for me anyway. So it was pretty stressful watching it. But I did that back to back with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I saw afterwards, and that was just okay. I think it's a great kids film, but as far as appealing to me as an adult, I just didn't really care for it a whole lot. The animation style was interesting, but I didn't. I didn't find the story or the characters all that engaging for me personally. Blue Beetle, that's a new DC film. I think that one's a B. It's probably a lower B. I enjoyed it. I had fun with it, but it's not, go out and see this. I thought it's kind of pretty run of the mill superhero film at this point, in my opinion. And then Gran Turismo, that was a fun movie. If I like, I think racing movies can be fun when they're done well, and this one brings video games and racing into it, and yeah, I think it was interesting kind of looking up the facts afterwards and kind of digging more into the real story because I think they take some liberties with it. But again, as a movie, I'm looking at it as a movie. It's not meant to be a documentary. So I thought it was fun. I really like David Harbour and Orlando Bloom. So it was nice to see them in the film, and I liked watching their characters. So that can go a long way, I think, how much you just like the actors and the characters consequently. So The Equalizer 3, I hadn't seen any of the previous ones. But this one I thought was a B, again a lower B. It wasn't like the most engaging and the most edge of your seat sort of a thing, but it had a good enough story and good enough characters where yeah, I thought it was well done. But yeah, oh, I didn't point that out for Ninja Turtles. I was thoroughly surprised how I was expecting it to be so much better than it was because it was at like 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. But yeah, just it's interesting seeing kind of the disconnect from my personal opinion and sometimes where reviews land. But I would say it's fresh if you're a kid going in to watch it. I didn't think it was fresh as an adult. And then the second to last film we've got on the list is A Haunting in Venice. This one again is a solid B. I think it's very much kind of in the same. I think it's very similar to the previous two entries in the series as far as quality. I think the visuals were probably the best they've been in the series. There was really, really cool visuals to capture Venice, and I'm sure they were on set and actually in Venice. It looked that way. If they weren't, then even better job. But when a place goes on location, I think it really comes across in the film. And I like the mystery. The mystery was done well enough, and it's interesting that they kind of have a more of a horror element to it. I don't know that it's probably not my favorite of the three. I'd have to rewatch them. I think I've seen Murder on the Orient Express twice, and I've seen Death on the Nile once. But I like them. I think they're fun murder mysteries, but nothing great. And then the last one that I just saw earlier this week is The Creator. This one is a low B for me. I felt like I don't know, it felt very sort of run-of-the-mill sci-fi where it has some interesting concepts, but it also, as you're kind of getting into it, feels like it just plays itself out and doesn't have anything that was like thoroughly engaging for me. I thought the visuals were really good. The visuals were amazing, actually. I thought they were really well done. The music was pretty good, and the characters were solid, but it didn't do anything to, yeah, overly engage me. I felt like I just kind of was there watching it, and yeah, I think I considered putting it in the C category, but it did enough for me to like it, but it's not a great movie. I will say that's probably shaded by the fact that the movie took an extra 30 minutes for them to play. Like I got into the auditorium and it's just a black screen, and like took them probably 30 minutes after when the movie should have started, even with trailers and stuff like that. So it was like almost a full hour after the listed showtime for the movie to start. So that probably shades it a little bit, but I think it still is not enough to change the letter grade one way or the other. But so that's just kind of a roundup of the things that I've seen since May, since I last talked to you all. Kind of went through some of them quickly. Definitely feel like I want to linger on some of these a bit more, but just to kind of get everything in, I figured we would talk briefly. But yeah, the standouts for me, I think, are Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. That's top of my list for the year. If you haven't seen that yet, definitely go see it at some point. If you haven't seen the first one, go see that one too. And then Mission Impossible, absolutely loved. I thought, yeah, Barbie was great, and Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Those are probably the other two that are at the top of my list of the ones that we've discussed here today. So yeah, if you've had a chance to see any of those or all of them and want to share your thoughts, if there's any that you particularly liked, I'd love to hear your thoughts on them in the comments below. Yeah, as always, like the video if you enjoy this sort of content, and subscribe if you if you care to see any of my videos in the future. So with that, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.